Okay, welcome back, guys. This video is going to look at how to read successfully and do an effective note-taking for my APUS history class. Alright, you're sitting down, you got your paper, you got your book, you're all ready to read and take notes. Not so fast, though. Before you get anywhere in the chapter, to avoid reading a paragraph over and over and over again, it's important that we do some pre-reading strategies, starting with reading the intro and conclusion. Guys, the intro is nice because it really does give you a bit of a preview for what that chapter is going to be about, and the conclusion sums it up. So this gives you some context there, and again, it creates some background knowledge. Remember, part of the reason why you're having to read a paragraph over and over and over again is that you don't have enough background knowledge for the information to stick just yet. Doing steps like this can help further that along, as well as the other steps to follow. The second step you're going to want to go through is scanning and skimming the chapter. Below, you'll see a number of different things you should pay attention to while you're going through that process. Once finished with that, now read section 1 all the way through. Do not take any notes. Just read the section. You're going to be coming back to the note-taking shortly. Now it's time to develop a clear, focused, debatable section question. I want to provide some examples of poor questions before we can get at what an effective one should look like. One question might read, what were the different pre-Columbian Native American societies? This isn't debatable, and it would be answered by a simple list. A poor section question 2 might read, what was significant about European contact? This question is way too broad and it lacks focus. An effective question would be compare and contrast gender roles and government positions among West African and pre-Columbian Native American societies. This question is focused and looks at a good portion of the section. To be honest with you, if you noticed my study guide, I actually modified that question a little bit to make it more focused and specific there, as I considered the original question a little less so. Teachers need to revise too. Okay, now that you've got your question, now it's time to develop a thesis statement. Students tend to freak out a little bit when it comes to thesis statements, though. I think these images below kind of capture that. Doesn't have to be like that, though. You just need to remember 3 key things about thesis statements. They consist of a topic, a position, and a criteria. If you remember these 3 key things, then you'll be in relatively good stead. Here's an example prompt to give you an idea about how simple thesis statements can be. What was the best movie of the summer? The Great Gatsby was the best movie because it perfectly blended the old with the new. It had incredibly stimulating special effects and an ending with an amazing twist. You got a topic, best summer movie. The position, it was The Great Gatsby. The criteria, it was a perfect blend of old and new, incredible special effects, and an ending with an amazing twist. And for the first section, your thesis statement could be as simple as this. When comparing and contrasting Europeans with Native Americans, you might say the European colonists of the New World were radically different than the Native Americans they encountered, politically, economically, and socially. Especially for your notes, guys, your thesis statements can be quite general like that. At least it's focused enough to look at 3 key areas. And again, the notes that follow it should ultimately tie back to that key point. Only after you have developed your section thesis should you take notes on the section. Otherwise, what exactly are you answering? Remember, the question and the thesis will provide more focus for your reading of the text. You will follow the same process, section by section. This will ensure that you are not cramming in more material than your brain will retain. As you read, though, keep focused on the study guide items. Not every teacher provides these. College teachers certainly will not be providing a list of this nature. But a study guide like this, guys, serves as my announcement to you what can potentially be on a quiz or a test. This is ultimately why I want you to highlight each of these items in your notes. This allows you to find these items very quickly in preparing for a group quiz or a class debate or a simple question that I have in class. Notice the highlighting here to the right. It's a bit more than I would like, but it's not like what's below either. Just highlight the specific study guide item, not what follows it. Otherwise, you might fall into the trap of the reader below. This sort of highlighting does not help anyone. Okay, now it's time for your big picture question. Like the questions before, it should be focused and debatable. This time, though, the question should be answered in a one-paragraph response. Here I am looking for you to use specific evidence to defend your position. The length can range from 5 to 11 sentences. Now, finally, let's go back and develop a chapter thesis. I realize that I've provided you with one in this study guide, and I even have through Chapter 4. After that, though, I will not be providing those questions, which is why I want you to kind of keep this in mind, that this is something you should come back to after all of your notes are over. Remember, this is why you left about 5-6 spaces at the top of your notes. Now, though, you can develop that question, which again follows those guidelines regarding question development earlier, and you can answer it, developing a thesis, again following those same guidelines. Okay, it is critical, again, that you do this after you've read the whole chapter. Again, otherwise, what exactly are you answering, and what exactly is this focused on? Okay. Now you're done. So it's time to keep calm and relax on. I don't know why they said now. I prefer on, but you know, they say now. Let's go with that.